everything ties together. All the past and the future, you feel it dragging at you every way. Supposing you wake up in the morning, and it's a lovely morning. Let's take today, right here and now. Here we are in this paradise of a place. Big Sur. And some of us have got to go to work on Monday. Is that a problem? For many people it is. It spoils the taste of what's going on now. When we wake up in bed on Monday morning and think of the various hurdles we've got to jump that day, immediately we feel sad and bored and bothered. Whereas actually we're just lying in bed. So the Taoist trick says, simply live now and there will be no problems. That's the meaning of the Zen saying, when you are hungry, eat. When you are tired, sleep. When you walk, walk. When you sit, sit. Rinzai, the great Tang Dynasty master, said, in the practice of Buddhism, there is no place for using effort. Sleep when you're tired, move your bowels, eat when you're hungry. That's all. The ignorant will laugh at me, but the wise will understand. And so, the meaning of this wonderful Zen saying, day, that's the character for the sun, day, that is, good day. Every day is a good day. On condition, you see, that day is like nyan nyan. They come one after another, and yet there's only this one. You don't link them. This, as I intimated just a moment ago, seems to be an atomization of life. Things just do what they do. The flower goes poof, and people go this way, go that way, and so on, and that's what's happening. It has no meaning, it has no destination, it has no value. It's just like that. And when you see that, you see it's a great relief. That's all it is. But then when you are firmly established in suchness, in that it's just this moment, you can begin again to play with the connections. Only you've seen through them. But now you see they don't haunt you. Because you know that there isn't any continuous you running on from moment to moment, who originated at some time in the past and will die at some time in the future. All that's disappeared. So you can have enormous fun anticipating the future, remembering the past, and playing all kinds of continuities. This is the meaning of that famous Zen saying about mountains are mountains. To the naive man, mountains are mountains, waters are waters. To the intermediate student, mountains are no longer mountains, waters are no longer waters. In other words, they've all dissolved into the point instant, to the kshana. But for the fully perfected student, mountains are again mountains and waters are again waters.
Harbor Freight knows skill is important because on any given day, we're all mechanics, carpenters, fixers, DIYers, and training wheel taker-offers. We also know no one should overpay for dependable tools. To do the work, the building, the fixing, the DIYing, the training wheel taking offing. So whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
This is a quote from a chapter called Naturally Liberating Whatever You Meet. On the one hand, when you regard disturbing emotions as emptiness, your practice turns into taking emptiness as the path and not the disturbing emotions. Thus, your practice doesn't become the short path. On the other hand, if you indulge in the disturbing emotions, thinking they are something concrete, it's like eating a poisonous plant and is the cause which binds you to samsara. Any disturbing emotion that may arise is wisdom the moment you relax to your natural mind. Look directly into it. Don't deliberately reject it, regard it as a fault, indulge in it concretely, or regard it as a virtue. The more I live my life tuning to Dharma, attempt to live life dharmically, live my life and see it becoming more dharmic. Certain words come through really strongly, like the word balance and the word patience. I see myself going through life in which phenomena appear, and some of them captivate me immensely, and my awareness goes into a thought relationship to that particular phenomenon. And at that moment, I lose some balance. I lose the spacious ground in which that phenomena exists. And then sometimes I keep letting go of thoughts, letting go of thoughts, letting go of thoughts until there is just awareness. Resting in that, you lose the world. And we've talked about the fire, which fires purify and which fires burn. At different moments, one fire that would burn at one moment later will
Hey, Donald. Hey, this is John Kitover. I need a handyman to help me out with a light switch in a tenant's living room or dining room. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Can I text you in case I can't find anybody? Then I'll know it's you. I'll save your number. Jefferson Park. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, awesome. Okay, I'll text you right now. Thanks a lot. Okay, bye. Hi, is this Frank?
This is, yes.
Hi, this is John. I have a light switch out in my dining room. I was wondering if you could fix it sometime like the next 48 hours if possible.
Yeah. It's just the light switch, or?
Yeah, it's a cloth wire switch, and I think the switch went bad.
Okay. Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Shoot me your address, please.
Okay, sure.
And I can I might have some availability tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
I just gotta finish some stuff up. But I could at least see by and take a look. If it's just a simple swap out of the switch, then yeah, we can definitely take care of it. If it's a little bit further, then I have to like schedule something for next week. But hopefully it's not. I mean, it's just a light switch, you know.
Yeah.
If it's cloth wire, that's the only, it's just you're running cloth wires, then you just start pulling the thread and it just turns into a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, shouldn't be anything too crazy. And
Okay.
you said it's just a regular light switch or like a standard?
Yeah, just standard.
Switch?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I'll double check and make sure I bring a spare with me. All right. I got some lying around.
Okay, awesome.
All right, cool. Yeah. Shoot me a text. Do you work from home or?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. Then yeah. Let me make sure that I can get that finished up. If anything, I'll keep you posted.
Okay, I texted you. All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, you got it.
Okay, take care. Bye. Okay, I have Frank. Frank Garcia confirmed for tomorrow afternoon to inspect, repair. Will let me know estimated arrival time with 2 hours window of service. Okay, that's sitting down.
Terrifying. Depends on how ego-involved or how invested you are in a particular phenomenon as it arises. But I experienced my life as a dance of balancing, of cultivating the qualities of spaciousness, of equanimity, of peace, of happiness. But I noticed that there were certain stages in my development, and they're still going on. And it's left over in a way from my renunciate models, where I haven't yet fully re-entered into the passions of life because I'm afraid of them. Because I'm afraid they will captivate my consciousness and take me away from my balance too much. And I realize you shouldn't be afraid of anything. I agree, but I am afraid. And what I see myself doing, that's one of those fires. I see myself getting closer and closer to the edge of my fear, of coming back into some passionate joy about something in the world, something I would have been afraid to do for fear of losing my quiet spaciousness, and realizing that now my quiet spaciousness is still present, that it's still empty, clear, quiet. Like yesterday, and this is a beautiful exercise for me, I was doing interviews, and I'm doing one interview about every 6 or 7 minutes. Now, many people have come for an interview, prepare, they spend time thinking what will they say, and they get it down to the kernel of the essence of the neurosis, or the kernel of the essence of the drama, the pain, confusion. And they hand me the kernel with all of its juice. And it's our kernel, it's our juice, it's our stuff. And it's my stuff as well as their stuff. I mean, it's just us kids here. I watch because my job in that position, and my job in life, but that position demands it, is that I keep that balance perfectly. That at that moment, if I don't open my heart to the fullness of what that individual's pain or essence problem is, what they experience is that I'm not hearing them, that I don't understand, that they're alone inside their predicament. Because I kept separate. I didn't allow my empathy, the passions that my empathy would engage, I didn't allow it to occur. So I open myself, and sometimes my heart breaks because a person's predicament is a heartbreaker. But then the other part of me is constantly coming back into the sky that you're going to, the meditation we're going to do later, into that just awareness, just that presence that looks at the emotional states, works with them, doesn't push them, doesn't pull them, doesn't grab them. And that part of me becomes a mirror for the other person, for them to see the way in which they're caught. In other words, the two bits of information that my presence there is offering is one, the empathy, we're all in this together, and the other is, but we don't need to be caught. This is two bits of information. And I realize now more and more that what we offer each other as human beings, we offer each other an environment. And that exercise is keeping me in the environment of that balance. So that I'm an environment where if that other person wants to come out and play from the pain and the suffering, here I am. And if they're in the pain and suffering, here I am. But there's nothing in me that's keeping them stuck in the pain and suffering. And there's nothing in me demanding they come out. And that's the interesting one. It's the interesting one about morality regarding other human beings' consciousness. Tim and I wrote an article back in 1963 for the Harvard Review called The Politics of Consciousness, in which we are arguing that each individual should have a right to do with their consciousness as they choose. And that's what a free system should allow. It's amazing how we don't do that in our society. But now I can see it. I see it particularly, for example, in the way in working with people that are approaching death. Because there is such a desire in somebody that is on a path of Dharma to have that other person die your death. Die the death you think they should die for them to be liberated. And to me, I learned over the years is it doesn't work. Because when you push against somebody, even the subtlest model in your head, they should be different than they are, awakens in them at a very unconscious level, pushing back, a resistance, a subtle paranoia. And I have noticed in my human relationships that as I want less and less from each individual, there is much less paranoia in them at a deep level, and they are much more available immediately. And the interesting thing is, what does it mean to be a safe space for another human being? A safe space means you don't have an agenda. But we have this tendency to have a model because we're trying to justify the way we're living our lives. So to me, that word balance is a really key issue. I mean, there are so many little balances we work with. The balance between the kind of intuitive heart and the thinking mind. Christina was saying, as you get too much thinking, the energy goes up and there's a whole contraction in the system around thinking. And there's a tendency in the spiritual journey to denigrate thinking, to denigrate intellect, to denigrate analytic mind. And I think that we as Westerners, coming out of our history of having the intellect be the highest power that we have, and now as we're shifting the balance, it is important that we don't throw out the baby with the bath. And I think we are inclined to learn how to integrate these two things so that we can honor and delight in the beauty of the intellect without being trapped by it. As they say, the Ego, or the analytic mind, is a beautiful servant and it's a lousy master. And you can sense as you look at the world conditions how the best of intellect, the best of the Henry Kissingers, don't solve our problems ultimately. Because our problems require a different level of wisdom. And we have worshipped knowledge rather than wisdom. And wisdom has in it a very deep compassion. Maharaji said, see everyone as God. The reason I'm saying all this is because you and I spend a huge amount of time in interpersonal relations. And the question I ask you, since you and I aren't going to monasteries to live our lives, since that's one of the things we do so much, wouldn't it be nice to make it a yoga? To make your human relationships your yoga? To make your human relationships the vehicle for becoming free rather than the vehicle to stay entrapped? And what is required is a shift in the way in which one looks at relationships, what they're about, what their function is. We have come out of a psychological morass. Freud and all of the personality people took us down a road. It's hard to appreciate how deep in it we are, how deep in the doo-doo of personality, how real it all is. I mean, you all think you have needs that must be met. You all think you have personality identities that must be honored. And even as I say that, I can feel you get tight, defending your right to have those things. Isn't that true? I can feel it in myself, too. You know, I have a right to be angry. Damn right I do. We'll wait. You know, there's no rush. When you finish that trip, we'll still be here. Because awareness isn't in time. It's just here. You want to enjoy your neurosis? Enjoy. Enjoy. Have more. Have another helping. Really climb in. We have gotten so thick in it, and so you're either getting into it through abuse of this or that, or you spend the rest of your life getting out of it, which is all giving it, that plane of reality, so much juice. And you look at your relationships from the point of view of your separateness. How will you fulfill my needs? I'll be who you need me to be if you'll be who I need you to be. Now, that kind of symbiosis, that's all fine if you don't get trapped in it. But if you get trapped in it, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare rooted in your sense of separateness. It's like feeding the illusion of the separateness, which is the root cause of the pain. So if the game is to be happy, the question is whether fulfilling your needs makes you happy, and whether fulfilling your needs makes you any happier than not fulfilling your needs. It's an interesting one. It does for the moment, there's no doubt about it. But if you notice that when you live on the realm of needs, the minute one is done, another one appears. You have a hierarchy of needs. So like a motivational hierarchy. I need food. Now I need ice cream. Now I need television. Now I need a cold drink. Now I need some popcorn. Now I need to go to bed. If you notice that, you just go from one need to another, and each one is, and then, and then, and then, It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. Now, these are all going on all the time. We all have needs and desires. We all have all this stuff. But just like I'm not going around being a bald man, I am bald, relatively speaking. To those of you that don't have eyes to see. But my consciousness is not full of baldness. It's an also-ran. Sure. In my hierarchy of desires, if I have the power, yogic powers that Patanjali talks about, I'll create a beautiful head of hair for myself. It's a whim, just to I did it on the astral plane, so those of you that can see know. And if you see the way in which people get encrusted in their personalities, you can look at somebody and the way they stand, the way they dress, the muscles of their face, the redundancy is staggering of a person saying, this is who I am. This is who, they're basically saying, this is who I think I am. This is who I think I am. This is who I think I am. So you see helpless people going down, this is who I think I am. This is who I think I am. Then you see bankers, this is who I think I am. This is who I think I am. You see car salesmen, this is who I think I am. This is who I am. Just laid back hippies. Hey man, this is who I think I am. Baby, this is who I am. And everybody gives you a little matrix. They're walking down the street with out of the Doctor Strange comics, these huge mine nets. And the net goes out and it catches you. And you immediately go into the, I'll make believe you are who you think you are if you'll make believe I am who I think I am. So you don't even look to see who it is. You don't see God as your only friend. You don't see that could be God in drag. You see who they think they are. And you respond to it. And so everybody is going into the personality realm, making it real, and then interacting. And then looking at each other. And when you think your personality is real, that's all you see when you look at other people. You don't see that other planes of consciousness. I like the image of the man in a rowboat rowing through the fog. And he hits another boat, and he screams at the other boatman, why don't you look where you're going? And the fog clears for a moment, and then there's nobody in the other boat. It was just floating. And you're left with, because at that moment, the plane of consciousness shifted. There was nobody there. Well, imagine there isn't anybody anywhere. There's only one of us. There's just awareness. There's nobody. Who do you talk to? Can you and I enter into a dialogue knowing neither of us are real? Can we have needs without really thinking of them as who we are, where we're living? It seems to me that we come together through roles, through personality structures, through all these things. These are the vehicles through which we meet. These are the vehicles. The identification with the vehicle becomes a tremendous trap. And part of the yoga of relationship is to meet through the vehicle of all that stuff, but recognize that through the process of relationship, my relationship with you, let's find our way out of being trapped by that together. You help me and I'll help you, so that we can be in the roles in a kind of celebratory, free, playful way. I mean, take everything you're doing in your life, and instead of characterizing it now as need and pain and problem to be solved, like I used to be with Tim Leary, and the world would be falling apart, believe me. All the cars out in the parking lot would all be broken. These were new cars we had bought. The furnace would have exploded. We were in debt, everything. And I'd say, Timothy, we have a problem. He'd say, how many times do I have to tell you, Richard? We don't have a problem, we need a plan. It was just like a little flip of consciousness. I mean, I've had a series of friends who have helped me escape from my own mind. Again and again. It's a great blessing to have them. Through humor. I remember driving across the country with a friend once, and we were driving along, and I was busy being neurotic, getting somewhere and checking the oil and getting to the gorge, yeah. And we'd pass a store that would, the Grand Union supermarket, and he'd say, Grand Union. I'm looking on the map to find out where we're going to have lunch, you know, and he's busy with Grand Union. But it would sink into my consciousness as if from a distance. It would slowly filter its way in until, oh shit, you know. Fly United. Merge. You do them all dead end. Just constantly flipping consciousness. I'm just playing with all of this stuff, so just to think about relationship as yoga. I mean, my history of being a therapist and having clients was that during that time, my psychodynamics were such that I was so not resting in my being, but in a feeling of inadequacy, psychodynamic inadequacy that was fulfilled through proving myself through the world. And in other people's eyes, something that I'm sure somebody here understands. When I finally got to be a therapist, I really needed to be a therapist. And I needed my patients to be patient. They were called patients in those days. And I needed to be curing them. I didn't need to cure them because then they'd leave me. And then I'd have to go find another one. So I needed them to be being cured and be deeply appreciative of how I was curing them. But I needed them to stay a patient. I mean, I was going to sit at the side of the desk with the knee hole, and I had the clipboard. I mean, you just think of this pathology now in terms of where we've come in the years since then. This was 30 years ago. But I realize now, when I look at my dynamics, how punitive I was of somebody who came to me who was strong, who didn't really need me in that way, who wanted to become free. I mean, I say kiddingly, but it's not so funny that if I, in those days, met who I am today, who came into his office, I would hospitalize him. Who I am now would be such a threat to who I was then. So I invite you to examine the way in which your identity with your roles and your personality dynamics are creating a very rigid system with other people. And whether or not you are using the relationships in a way to get free from that. And first of all, do you realize you're entrapped in them? I mean, I wrote a chapter in How Can I Help called Helper's Prison. The way in which you get into helping because it makes you feel righteous, it relieves suffering, it's all good things. So you get into I'm a helper. And I realized as I examined the dynamics of my own helping and the helping of the people around me, how disempowering this was to everybody else around them. How it needed helpless people to help. And I was seeing how you could give something to somebody in one way where you're identified with the giver, which forces them to be the receiver. Or you could give somebody to someone and yet not be caught in giving and receiving, but just be in shared awareness. It's like when I give these beads from my right hand to my left hand, the right hand didn't get caught in giving and the left hand didn't get caught in receiving. There was no giver, there was no receiver. And yet there was a giver and receiver. That's the key. There was no giver and receiver, and yet there was a giver and receiver. How do you play the roles? How do you have the needs without being trapped in them? And the first part of it is, as Gurdjieff said, to realize you're in prison. To realize you are trapped. Not really, but you are thinking you are trapped. And what that appreciation does is it changes the way in which you look at your life experiences. I remember I've talked about this many times, but I was with Emmanuel, and I said to Emmanuel, what am I doing on earth? Who made this terrible error? I mean, what am I doing on this plane? This is nonsense. These are all these rascals and brigands and slothful people and lustful people. I don't belong here. I'm much too pure for this. And he said, Ramdas, you're in school. Why don't you try taking the curriculum? That fascinated me. That was a nice way of putting it. It's a nice way of putting it. It's the same thing about the issue of coming into your passion. Or as Alan Watts once said to me, Richard, you're too attached to emptiness. Meaning I was pushing away the form too much. And the form becomes the curriculum. The form is the projection of the mind. Which forms you see, that's your karma writ large. And the issue of extricating oneself from those clingings, not to be not in them, but to be in them and not in them. Now you have the possibility of being with other people who are not trapped, who are always in that spacious awareness. You saw two of them on television last night. Ramana Maharshi's beautiful example, just very, always so simple and present and loving. That blend of compassion and emptiness, that's the way those come together. Let me just tell you one little story. I was in Madras, I believe, and I met a man who was in his 50s, I guess, and he had grown up as a small child around Ramana Maharshi. He used to sit on his knee and all that. And then he grew up and he became an army officer, and now he was sort of retired or something like that. And he said one day, he said, an English gentleman came to the ashram. He said, this English gentleman was the head of a large set of businesses, and he was from England, but one of his set of businesses was in Madras. And the businessman was having trouble sleeping, and he was very agitated and very upset. And the manager of his Madras store said, you should meet this saint at Arunachala, Tiruvannamalai. And so the Englishman agreed, and he flew over to India in a flying boat, as the story was told, whatever that means. I guess a seaplane. And he came to Madras, and his manager took him to see Ramana Maharshi, and he was going to stay there for several weeks. And he came into the hall, and the hall was silent. Everybody was sitting there. And he sat down, and nothing happened. Right now, this is a very successful businessman. And he started to get more and more agitated. And it was about 15 minutes before he couldn't stand it any longer. And he stood up, and he was like, I'm leaving here. This is silly. I can't spend my time this way. And Ramana Maharshi, who very rarely talked, said to him, Sir, before you leave, would you do me one favor? And Ramana Maharshi said, yes. Would you be kind enough to write a note to your wife? A bizarre request. All right, if that's what you want. So they brought him paper and a pen, and he wrote, Dear Hilda, I didn't find what I wanted here. I'll be back on Tuesday. Did you water the plants? And has Doris gone to the dentist? Signed, Henry. And he finished the note, and Ramana Maharshi held out the hand, and the note was getting hot. Ramana Maharshi folded it, and he put it up under his buttock, which was naked. And he said, would you be kind enough just to stay with me for 5 more minutes? The man said, all right. Sat down. And they sat there for 5 minutes. Then Ramana Maharshi got up, and he started to shuffle out of the room. And as he passed the man, he handed him the paper back. And then he went out of the room, and the man said, like, what kind of crap is this? What am I doing? I've come here. This guy's mad and insane. And he looks down at the paper, and it's on a different piece of paper. And he opens it up, and it says, Dear Harry, I'm sorry you didn't find what you wanted in India. I have watered the plants. Doris has gone to the dentist. I would write a longer letter, but the tall man with the turban who brought your note is insisting I answer very quickly. Signed, Hilda. Now those are cheating. Those are miracle stories. They're really not anything at all, but it's just fun to hear a story like that. Just to realize the game is played on many levels. Shirdi Sai Baba, not Satya Sai Baba, but Shirdi, the old Baba. He said, he was a miracle Baba. He said, I give people what they want so they'll want what I give. Because you realize that freedom has nothing really what to do with miracles at all. Miracles are just reminding you that it's not the way you think it is. And that frees you a little bit to be able to wonder, how is it? When you wonder how is it, you're hooked. So you enter into a relationship with another person if you're lucky. It could be a friend, it could be a partner, it could be a fellow employee, it could be somebody you meet once a month or once a week, go to study with or something like that. Where you enter in with the contract, let us help each other awaken. Let us help each other remember together. Let's use our relationship to remind ourselves that we're stuck, that we don't have to be stuck, that we are already free. We're just busy being stuck. And these are very, very precious relationships, and they are very rare. I wish there were more of them. I wish we all had them all the time, but they are rare. And a lot of people who say they'd like to enter into that don't really want to. They just want to be somebody who wants to want to enter into it. And that's most of us. Because you come to the point where you are so familiar holding on to who you think you are, your psychodynamics, that you take even the fancy contract to awaken and use it in the service of your psychodynamics. I'm helping you awaken, for God's sake. You're trapped, and I'm free, and I know I'm free because I see how trapped you are. Damn it. I love it. Oh, boy. I see more neuro. Yeah, well. I think when you're working with another person in becoming free, or being free together, because the becoming is another hype. It implies that you got to go a certain distance. Like people say, you've been at this for 30 years. What hope is there for me? I'm only new. Ramana Maharshi is a good example, wasn't he? Was he 17 years old? He hadn't read any of this stuff. He didn't go to Dharma talks. He didn't meditate. He didn't do anything. He just lay down at his uncle's study and got enlightened. Oh, he realized he was enlightened. That's a good model. It's a good reminder that there's no time involved in the process. So that each moment in a relationship is the moment for us to be just here together, dancing through the form. It's like the form of lecturer and listener. Can you hear without getting caught in listening? Can I speak without getting caught in speaking? Can you and I be together through this dance of talking and listening? Does this talking and listening separate me from you because you're them? Or am I in the world of us sharing this together? And is it bringing the us closer together? I really see, and I've seen that as I'm resting in being more deeply, like I have all these little aids, mechanisms, things like these, techniques to remind me, they're all traps. They're all traps, all methods of traps. I mean, meditation is a trap. You don't want to end up a meditator, you want to end up free. Judaism is a trap. This is a hard one. For those that are Jews, you don't want to end up a Jew, you want to end up free. Boy, I was just in Israel and I tried saying things like that. Sure, then you delight in all the forms. You delight in your sexual identity, in your religious identity, in your social and economic identities, and your political identities, and all of your family identities, but you're not trapped in them. But I work with this little 5-line phrase. Prolong not the past. Invite not the future. Don't alter your innate wakefulness. Don't fear appearances. There's nothing more than that. Don't prolong the past. Don't invite the future. Don't alter innate wakefulness. Don't fear appearances. There's nothing more than that. Now, when I'm sitting in interviews and somebody tells me a particularly difficult, emotionally engaging story, I can feel my fear of appearances arising. Because I can feel my emotional body going out and I feel my awareness going into that emotional And at that moment, don't prolong the past. Don't invite the future. Don't alter your innate wakefulness. Don't fear appearances. It's nothing more than that. And immediately there's a righting mechanism and I come back. It's a balance. And in relationships, there is a balance. You don't ignore the personality stuff because it's still real to people. You fulfill it in the way you can without getting lost in it. It is up to the most conscious person in a relationship to create this space where the relationship can grow. And I'd be with Maharaji, and I'd be very serious about something, and he'd just giggle. And what I'm left with over the years are things like the giggle. I'm left with Maharaji going like that. I have that over my toilet. Because Maharaji was, for me, that mirroring process. And yet he was passionately alive. He was chiding and throwing things and screaming at people and laughing and holding and doing all that stuff. And at the same moment, it was just like a vast mountain of emptiness. We were all busy with our personality. Who can get his foot to massage it? Who can get closest? Who will he give a name to? Who will he love the most? There was a guy who I knew from the States, and he was kind of unbalanced at that time because he had had a bad love affair. And so I told him to come to India, and he came to India. Every time he tried to get near Maharaji, Maharaji would push him away, and I got really upset with Maharaji because this guy really needed something. So I brought him into the room, and I'd sort of aim Maharaji at him, you know, I'd do this kind of thing. And Maharaji would ignore him completely, and I would get more and more furious with Maharaji. And then at one moment, Maharaji turned and attended to him, and within a week, that guy had moved into the top slot in the whole temple, and he was going into the room when I couldn't, and I was hating that guy, absolutely detesting him. It was absolutely extraordinary. Because Maharaji saw where my mind was caught. I mean, he wasn't, I'm just projecting this, he was just this silly old man, but I experienced him as seeing where I was caught, and he didn't think, I think I'll show Ramdas a lesson. His behavior, because each person in the room always thought the action was directed at them. Okay? Everybody in the room, that was the far out part. And I'm sure he didn't sit and say, well, now for him I'll do this, and then for him I'll do this, but if I move my hand this way, he'll get it. And he just did it. To me, this is the best teaching story that I have found to date. As I always say, if you've heard it before, think of how many times I've heard it. The train clanked and rattled through the suburbs of Tokyo on a drowsy spring afternoon. Our car was comparatively empty. A few housewives with their kids in tow, some old folks going shopping. I gazed absently at the drab houses and dusty hedgerow. At one station, the doors opened, and suddenly the afternoon quiet was shattered by a man bellowing violent, incomprehensible curses. The man staggered into our car. He wore laborer's clothing, and he was big, drunk, and dirty. Screaming, he swung at a woman holding a baby. The blow sent her spinning into the laps of an elderly couple. It was a miracle that the baby was unharmed. Terrified, the couple jumped up and scrambled towards the other end of the car. The laborer aimed a kick at the retreating back of the old woman, but missed as she scuttled to safety. This so enraged the drunk that he grabbed the metal pole in the center of the car and tried to wrench it out of its stanchion. I could see that one of his hands was cut and bleeding. The train lurched ahead, the passengers frozen with fear. I stood up. This story is being told by Terry Dobson, who was an Aikido, a Westerner who went and spent many years in Japan studying Aikido. And he has since died, and I read this in memoriam. So this is him speaking. I was young then, some 20 years ago, and in pretty good shape. I'd been putting in a solid 8 hours of Aikido training nearly every...
Okay, everybody's been Republican. We're going to jump in another room.
AI will be first to give you the information. I don't take that information, and this is what I was saying.
It's not AI first all the time. It's not
A lot of times now, on my phone it is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not taking up for anyone. You already know they're trying to introduce that to us, so they're gonna start. Trust me. I just looked up something, and AI popped up first. I don't go about AI either.
Yeah, because AI, when I look on AI, too much, so AI will come. But I need to
don't
talk
have
to
to
him.
argue about this because I posted a link in chat. Just click on the link and we.
I'm not. You already proved my point. You read.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. 10. Shut up. I'm not done yet. All you have to do is click on the link and it demonstrates that I am right. It says JWSD has confirmed the predictions of the 14 or the 13.8 or 14.8.
That. Oh, what age are that?
It's hip-hop Mariachi. Who's laughing like that? No, that's a grito. Like to cry. You didn't know that? No. What is this? I want to know this one. Oh, it's a remix of a Mexican singer who died in the 50s. It's called Richie Valdez. You never heard Richie Valdez? The guitar. No, I like the guitar.
That's the theme. That's the theme song. That's the theme song from a movie called, I think, Sleepwalkers, where these like cat human people like suck the souls out of their victims.
Yes! Yes! How do you know? What's the name of the movie? Sleepwalkers or Sleep something.
I think it's Sleepwalkers or something.
Yeah, but it's The Shining Part 2. It's like Shining.
The what? Say it again. I'm gonna Google it.
Sleepwalkers.
Sleepwalkers. That's it. Okay, I'm sure. It's The Shining. No, the movie The Shining.
Yeah.
It's Part 2 of that movie.
Oh my God, this looks. Oh,
Yeah,
I like this.
This is for Abby.
It's a very.
I don't think that he's good for you. How do you know what's good for me? That's my opinion.
I love this fight. They need some fucking hippo tranquilizer for your ass. No, they need some motherfucking hippo tranquilizer for your ass, Lol. Shut the fuck up, Lol. We need some fucking hippo. I'm pushing that ketamine right now so I can give you shit. Oh my God.
I can't tell. Is this live or a recording?
Well, recording. Wipe your own motherfucking ass and send your mothers for a change. When's the last time your mother left the house without you fucking helping her or her using a walker?
Oh.
It's so funny. That bitch ain't so motherfucking old that she
Every day for the past 3 years.
So let me ask you all a question. In the Gay Boy Town, I was listening to Ramdas, aka Ram Dass, the Jewish Hindu meditation mystic of the 1960s. He's an LSD tripper with Timothy Leary and Alan Watts, and he says that you can make your relationships your yoga, which is essentially you're no longer getting angry or psychotic or ridiculous. Like you're having, yoga communication. What do you think about that piece concept?
Communicating without words.
No, communicating peacefully, with total kindness and compassion and letting go of the past and letting go of the future.
Well, you should start and I'll follow.
Okay, here we go.
I liked to throw and grapple. I thought I was tough. The trouble was my martial skill was untested in actual combat. As students of
Republican,
It puts the lotion in the basket.
He's always on Clubhouse with the confusion. He's always sassy. That's Ryan Boswell. Here comes Abby, always says stream, always say one turn to you to fight. There's Abby, she's stressing. And here comes Angela, fucking 5150. She's crazy as fuck and she's fucking late. She doesn't know, but her filter's not running. Her big breast balloons look like she's floating.
I like all your takes on all of that. That was wonderful.
Thank you. I'm pretty balling.
What you're really doing is discussing the subconscious of the group collective. And I think that's why Clownhouse and Minions and Neuro Networks of bringing communication through yoga and hypnosis is essential in transforming the universe one troll at a time.
Sounds like something Pluto would say. Plato.
Abby, is Angela part of the quality control? Abby!
No, she left. Hold on.
Good. I'm gonna
She left because T-Rob.
You see, I hate T-Robs, but I don't actually hate him. I just, like, he's not, see, just from, like, a listener's perspective, he's just not interesting, and there's nothing ever really, yeah, I just can't say he's not entertaining, he's not positive, he's just, I think it's just a Northern Irish thing. But I'm fascinated. Now I kind of want to go to Northern Irish. Maybe my princess is there. Because I do believe in slaying dragons and rescuing princesses. It's never too late to have that dream.
Are you about to people ask if I'm on
A lot of people asking, are you on Grindr? No.
A lot of arguments for why he shouldn't have sex with his,
What's that,
neighbors and stuff. I'm saying that Tim has a lot of arguments about why he's not going to have sex with these girls that he meets at the club.
Because he can't get some girls, that's why.
You are what you say you are. Especially in Clown World and in Clown Town.
Well, he's always evaluating them. He's saying she had man hands and stuff like that.
Maybe he's a, closet homosexual.
Ryan, do you think he is? Do you feel that on your gaydar? Pussy?
I'm not gonna say.
It's, I mean, whatever. The man has a Porsche. He comes from a high class family. He lives on like an estate, like a $3 million property. It's really quite magnificent. He's got a view of these beautiful mountains, all this livestock and farms. I mean, I wonder what his real life is really like. What do you think?
It sounds like Bruce Wayne without the women.
Has anyone seen the show The Fallout on Amazon Prime? Is it good?
No. Don't bring thermonuclear war into this conversation yet. We're not quite there.
Oh, shut up. I love Fallout. I used to play that game.
You know what game I love? Chaos Agent.
That's not a real game, you dumbass.
I just made it up. Technically,
when is Young?
it's, I don't know. It's like in June or August. But my point is this is a video game, whether you like it or not. I mean, technically, it meets all the definitions and the historical, it's identical. Like, this is a video game. It's like playing Super Mario Brothers as an adult, or it's like the next evolution of video gaming, which is basically live free speech for public display. Yes, no? Nobody thinks about it that way. I mean, when you go to a casino and you put money into a slot machine, you do realize that's like playing PlayStation 5, right? It just costs you money to play it.
Did you know there's a tunnel underneath Ocean Boulevard, Republicans?
Huh?
Did you know there's a tunnel underneath Ocean Boulevard?
No.
Wow. Well, don't forget it.
Amphilochios, what? You were going pretty hard on Randy. I don't understand why you couldn't let him get his piece out.
Yes. Diego, fuck me with your chorizo. Abby, sit down and be my cock and watch. Rock, rub your stomach and watch me fuck. Yes. Chicago cheeseburger and watch again. Ryan Boswell, watch again. Fuck me hard. Make me be a cuck. Make me an unorthodox slut. There's a bomb in the West Banks and Clubhouse. Oh my god. There's a bomb on the West Bank of Clubhouse.
Gotta admit, that's probably like some of the most entertaining content, disturbing content, and unique content, especially because like nobody interrupted you and you're really singing. This is like a drag show, clown house terror show. It's fascinating.
Give me your dollar bills. I'm telling you, you should see me when I'm rapping. I do freestyling. Have you heard that one time you heard me rap? Bitch, I will rap battle you into the ground. Bitch, you can't even rap battle, bitch. I can rap battle. Put on a beat then.
Oh, listen, I figured something out today, and you tell me if you think.
We should do a rap battle.
This is gonna be very cool.
Make the black people pay a cash app to come in the room.
So I took out this pretty decent looking brunette last night to this restaurant called Virgin.
No, bitch, you don't. You're like Tim Rambles, and you pretend you get bitches, but they're a fucking down.
Listen, I got a kiss. That's all I got. But my point is, we went to this restaurant called Extra Virgin, and I said to her, "Do you think what do you think the difference is between cats and dogs in terms of personality?" And she said, "I don't know. What do you think?" I said, "Well, I think it has to do with gender." I said, "I feel like cats are feminine and dogs are masculine." She's like, "No, I feel like it's the exact opposite." So I don't think you really gain any kind of deeper wisdom from that, conclusion on, I guess, how do you symbolically represent cats and dogs. But this is what I figured out today, is that how do cats and dogs communicate? Cats say meow and dogs say woof. So my point is, there's a big difference between a roof, and a meow. So if somebody wants to give me a beat, if somebody can boombox for me, I want to do a meow meow rap. And basically what the meow is, it is like a yin yang system. So cats and dogs go together in the same way that like butterflies and flowers go together. So there's this pairing, and I can. So can somebody lay down a beat for me while I do my meow rap?
That consists of meows.
I'm just gonna repeat meow over and over again, but I can show you how I can manipulate the meow to make it into essentially more than just a meow.
Can we just play a beat? Or do you need it to be all?
No, somebody just give me a beat like doosh, 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 boom, 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 boom.
That I've already prepared.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hang on. Take 20 seconds. I open my briefcase.
face.
Q, what's your real name, or like, what's your name?
Quintavious.
Quintavious?
That's right. I'll give you my alias, and then if you can figure it out, you can figure it out. You ready for my alias?
One of my top favorite words of 2024 is government name.
That was a good one. Vigo Tarantino.
Vitiligo?
Oh, well, there's a Q in Quentin, so. But I don't know what Vigo means.
Wait, is Quintavious, is this you rapping that you're gonna play?
This is not me. This is cat rap I've already found.
Oh, okay.
So here we go. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to say is a dog barking does not work in terms of creating, I guess, a hypnosis, or a cat's meow is more pleasurable than a roof, meaning that going back, 10 million years, we fear the wolf far more than we do, the cat. But the lion is basically, a fucking wolf. So
But why did they worship the cat and not the dog? And is Jesus a male or a female?
I think Jesus is technically the transsexual, and that's the secret. That's why today everything is the transsexual. It's the tranny, because that's technically the symbol that they're trying to one up Jesus with. But Jesus is the original tranny. He's the prima causa tranny. So it's just a game. Like, they're just continuing the LARP, but they're making it even. They're just vulgarizing Jesus. That's all they're really doing. They're bastardizing Jesus for their own benefit.
Where the fuck did everybody go?
Meow. Also, this is the other thing. It's a lot easier to communicate with meows than it is with, roofs.
So let me ask you this. Do you have animals, yes or no?
No, but I have wildlife that surround my house.
Same here. I got a groundhog that's stuck in my backyard. Can't get him out. I was just gonna ask if it was weird to talk to your animals, and